I've decided to try do something a little bit different on the channel and get a few more voices in the mix, because it's definitely not just me here who's a sage on the stage and knows everything about Logseq. I do have a pretty in-depth knowledge, but it's nice to hear different people's opinions and see how different people do things. So I think I'm going to call it Logseq Legends, although this first video is probably not the best one to start with because it's not actually about Logseq. However, it is someone that I've met through the Logseq community, and I thought that it would be good to have them on just to explain a little bit more about Zotero. So Jay Colbert is a librarian. He is a Zotero expert user and also a Logseq user. And I met Jay because he bought the course and we were just corresponding about a little bit of feedback on the course. And I thought, why not have him on to do a deep dive on Zotero? In this video, Jay is going to introduce a little bit of his background, how he got into Zotero, how he got into Logseq eventually. We're not going to focus on Logseq though, it's going to be mainly on Zotero. We're going to look at some of the features, we're going to look a lot at the web clipper, how you can use it to build a good reference database, and then look a little bit at workflows, how you do citations, how you do bibliography. Jay also looks at why you would do a bibliography or why you would cite, not just to avoid punishment, but we're going to get into all of that. It's a long conversation. We had to cut it short eventually, so I also added a couple of postscripts at the end. It feels almost more like a podcast at different stages, back and forth. There's a lot of screen sharing, questions, asking why'd you do that or how'd you do that. So I hope this is valuable to you, and let me know what you think. I'm gonna just shut up for a little bit and hand over to you because you're really the expert in Zotero. So take it away again.
Take two, Electric Boogaloo. So my name is Jay Colbert. Again, it's not Colbert. I'm sorry if that very much disappoints anyone. I use he, him pronouns. And probably by the time this is released, I am a library director, the library director at the Longy School of Music. That's in, the Boston area. It's in Cambridge, technically. And I have been using and teaching Zotero for almost a decade at this point. I used it in undergrad near the end of my undergraduate time, simply because I have a degree in literature, and where I got my bachelor's was very much like you didn't cite things in your literary analyses. It was you in the text, and you made your arguments based on what you could analyze in the text. You didn't bring in external stuff. You weren't writing a journal article. You were writing an analysis, right? And so it was more when I was taking other courses outside of that required me to go find things and cite them, that I started needing reference managers, and I played around with a few. I actually used Mendeley for quite a long time, because I really liked how you could actually look for articles within Mendeley, and that's not something you can do in Zotero yet, necessarily. But then I found Zotero, and especially when I was in grad school, I used Zotero. So for people watching this who aren't in the United States, or maybe even are in the United States, because people think librarians sprout from the ground, or like Athena from Zeus's whatever part of the body she came from, that we come out fully formed and we're just librarians. But most library positions in the United States require a master's degree in library science. It is an actual field of study that has disciplines in it, and has been a master's degree since late 1800s, early 1900s. It's an actual thing, right? This whole field. And my graduate assistantship was in reference and instruction. So I sat at the reference desk and, help, my paper's due in 2 minutes, and I can't find an article for my paper, help, that kind of thing. But then I would also teach workshops. I would go into courses and give people the rundown on how you find things in the library. And one of the more popular workshops in basically any university library you are going to go to is how do you use Zotero, simply because some libraries will have an institutional subscription to EndNote, which is another, it's like the old robust workhorse reference management system. and some will have a Mendeley institutional subscription. But those are both proprietary and to some degree will cost money. Zotero is free and open source, and so we always feel way more comfortable telling students about it because they don't have to buy anything, and when they leave the university, they can still have access to it without having it tied to their university account and access to that, like not having to pay for it. And, you know, obviously we always encourage people know how to actually hand manual do citations and bibliographies in whatever citation style you are going to be doing. It's a very good practice to know how to do. But especially when you're writing longer works, like a journal article or a book chapter or a book, am I allowed to swear on here? No.
I don't know.
No. Okay. It's like a pain in the you know what to like have to
I'm sure
do
that's
that.
fine.
No one has time for that, especially if you are a busy student who maybe you have a job, maybe you have a kid, and you don't have time for that. And then like if you're full professor, you're grading papers, you're teaching, you're writing, you're doing all sorts of stuff. No one has time for that. And so we teach people how to use Zotero for all sorts of use cases, right? The way that like a full professor, tenured PhD, who's had their PhD longer than I've been alive, their use case and the way they're going to need to use Zotero is different than an undergraduate student who's writing their first like research paper, right? Where they need, you know, where their professor tells them you need this many journal articles, you need this many books, you need a primary resource just so they know how to use all of these different types of resources, right? The way I teach it and what you use and why is going to be different for those two populations and everything in between. And I've been doing that and also using it for my master's thesis, for all of the papers and presentations I did in grad school, because I even do it for like my, you know, PowerPoints and presentations and whatnot. The 2 journal articles I've written and the book that I wrote, all of those I've used Zotero for, and I've been doing that since 2015. So my Zotero library still has things from my book and my journal articles and my thesis. I have over 1,000 things in my Zotero library, simply because like my master's thesis, like that stuff I'm still interested in and still write about and still study. Why would I get rid of those references? You just keep them. Never know when you're going to need them again, right? Like there's this one article that I cite basically everything that I've ever written or presented, basically.
There's so many different ways that I feel like we could go here. Like in my mind, I've got like a couple of questions coming up, which is like, who are we going to target with this? Like, are we going to target like the whole spectrum? Like, I don't know how we're going to land it. And then the other one is like the quirk of like if you are in Logseq and you build your API integration with Zotero, there's that add all button, which is super tempting.
Do not click the add all button. Do
exactly.
not do it. Do not do it. I am telling you, big no. Don't do the add all button. Take a very just in time. Like you already have Zotero managing your references. You don't need Logseq to manage your references. Like put them in there as you need them and as you use them. If you want to do that, be my guest, but don't.
But it will slow your database down and crash everything, and you'll have like 500 thousands of new pages because it will create every
If I were to do that, it would not only create like pages for everything in my library, but it would also like for all of the authors and all of the like, I don't know why it does this, the like our item type, it makes that a link. And like I don't need a little like page note in my graph for journal articles or for books. That might be useful to some people, but I don't need that. And then also Zotero, like if you're getting things out of a database most of the time, or like in a library catalog, if you use the web clipper, like just to preview some fun things, if you use like the browser extension, it will also grab the like keywords and subject headings that are in that database or library catalog and bring them in as tags in your Zotero library. And Logseq also brings those in as tags and so creates pages for them. And So there are like standard subject vocabularies in library science. That's actually my main field of like study and expertise is metadata. Hi, Arthur. This is my cat, King Arthur. Everyone say hi to King Arthur. He's an incredibly good boy. Oh, bye, Arthur. He likes to be in meetings. But in databases, they're not necessarily using the sort of standard subject vocabulary and also include author supplied keywords. So then your Logseq database is going to be mucked up with all of these pages that will just relate back to a journal article or a book in like for whatever Zotero thing you brought in, because that's the only thing in your database that uses that, even if it's like the same subject as
Yeah.
another thing you've brought in, it just uses different language for it because databases, that's what they do.
Yeah, databases.
Databases, yeah.
Before we dive deeper into Zotero, how did you find Logseq? I mean, let's just keep this like short, because I like there's
Yes.
so many different technical questions we
Yes.
can go into with Zotero.
Yeah, so very briefly, I like discovered Evernote in college, and then as other people with ADHD, high F ADHD, big shocker there, will attest to, sometimes it just stops working. Your systems start working, your tools stop working. And so I turned away from it and tried Trello. I've tried all of these different things. When I got into the job that I'm now leaving, I looked at it Evernote again, and then it started costing money and like stopped doing all the fun things I liked about it. I was like, okay, and started looking at like, oh, well, what's something that's like Todoist plus like Trello, and that's how I found Notion. And sorry to Notion fans out there, Notion's very good. I hate Notion, not because I think it's a bad product. I think it's a very good product. I hate spreadsheets though, and I hate having to build out spreadsheets
My
and like
heart.
link pages. I know you would think like all the librarians say, "Oh God, they love their spreadsheets," and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I don't like spreadsheets. Stop making me do spreadsheets." There's nothing wrong with spreadsheets. I just don't like them. This is a purely aesthetic preference right here. I don't like how they work with my brain. I don't like Notion. I used it for like 2 days and was like, no, thank you, and started looking more of like, okay, what else is out there? And that's how I discovered the whole like note taking, personal knowledge management scene. That's how I found Rome research and like, that's how my brain works. Whoa. Oh, no, this costs money. Oh. And then I found like through that I found out about Zettelkasten, and I'm sorry, I'm pretentious and will pronounce it the German way because I took German in college. I'm so sorry. That's how I learned it, and so I just I found digital gardens that way, and and when I was like, ugh, Rome costs money. Oh, Obsidian's a thing, but Obsidian makes you do pages, and I started falling into the trap of it can do everything, and then it just in my brain moved on to Emacs org mode because of org Rome, and was using that for a while until I did building a second brain for cohort 14. There weren't any logs there. There weren't any org Rome folks there, and I was like, well, maybe I like try Logseq. There's no one doing Logseq, but like that's similar enough to actual Rome, so maybe I can do that. And so that's how I actually started more seriously looking into Logseq, even though it was on my radar before. And so actually my like building a second brain, personal information management system is Evernote plus Logseq, because I really only use Logseq for more creative intellectual work, like the kind of note-taking and thinking support that requires that kind of loosey-goosey, fluid, like non-hierarchical, networked,
Yeah.
I'm going to be snooty, rhizomatic kind of thing. Whereas like Evernote's my filing cabinet. I'm really not putting PDFs in.
Rhizomatic, is that like analogous to like mycelial almost or not? I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
so it comes from the theorists Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari in their anti-capitalist book A Thousand Plateaus, and it's referring to like representational like thought and philosophy. But yes, it refers to like that kind of root system versus an arborescent, which is like a tree. I'm working on. I actually have some stuff on rhizomes in my digital garden and Zettelkasten. And if people are curious about the term rhizomatic and the way that I'm using it, go watch this YouTube video explaining Deleuze with drum machines.
Okay,
It's incredibly good. And there's the Acid Horizons podcast, which is like a like leftist anti-capitalist philosophy and theory, and it's mainly focused on Deleuze and Guattari.
I feel like I'm going to have to be like one of those like, oh, I'm going to put this in the show notes, but I might
Put
not.
it in,
I don't know.
put it
I don't
in
even
the
know
show
how to
notes.
I never do show notes.
Yeah.
But the question that like it actually raised to me is like, I mean, your study of like librarian sciences, you know, theoretically gives you like this huge background of like information management and all that jazz, and then you come to building a second brain, and it's like, you know, personal knowledge management
All
gurus or whatever.
entrepreneurs and
yeah, like how did it gel? Like, how was the experience for you?
It was interesting because I'm also like, not to get too political, I'm very much like anti-capitalist. I'm very much like into like socialism and anarchist theory and stuff like that. And so going into this environment that's like capital P productivity, make the content for capitalism. Like,
warning.
There's any, yeah, warning. I'm a little like, you know, little commie on here, but like this idea of doing productivity solely in service of like capital and for your job. Not that like, oh, hey, you know, I also need to make money. Like, I also like making things and putting them out there and hopefully getting paid for them. You know, I do have a book, and I do actually, I've started doing like Zotero coaching and consulting. Like, I'm totally not above that, but I didn't want to learn this knowledge management and information management, like helping me think and help with my life, just for capitalist reasons. And a lot of the people in there were using it, they were conflating it with task management and project management, which are part of knowledge and information management, but they are not analogous, right?
Yeah.
And so there was the weekend weirdos in my cohort, which were like a bunch of like anti-capitalists, like, how do we do this against the system, man? So, and also there's like no librarians in this scene, which shocks me. And I'm like, y'all, we should be the ones leading this.
That's the irony,
yeah, we should be the ones leading this movement, because like, this is literally, even if you're not a metadata librarian, your job is how do you teach people how to interact with information and find it and manage it. And so that's like our whole thing. So
it's so interesting. I you know, want to avoid politics at all costs on the channel, but I'm going to definitely leave this in. But yeah, there's so many different avenues.
I'm not preaching my politics. I'm giving context. I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to say. You know, I'm not debating politics right now.
Everyone should read 021 and no, joking. Like give the counterbalances. Like I'm very like I think my whole history is like come from a very dogmatic background, so like I'm very averse to like any one position. It's like everyone let everyone.
I'm very gel things together. I keep hitting my microphone. I'm sorry, that's gonna come up on the recording.
That's not too bad. I want to get into Zotero now.
Yeah, Zotero. Yeah.
So yeah, pretend I am 3 different people, I guess. Like undergrad, starting to find Zotero. I don't know who the middle person would be, and then the professor. Because like when after our initial conversation, I went away and I looked at the Zotero Microsoft Word integration, and I was like, holy smokes! If I'd had this when I was 21, it would have saved me countless hours. And it's such a simple integration, so you don't need Logseq or anything else.
Yeah, the look on people's faces when I teach them that aspect of it, you just. Especially if people have been using something else beforehand and like not had like a system to help them this, you just see them go, oh, where it's like this amazement and also this like their shoulders go down. Right? So I'm going to look at Zotero as if you're like a student, as if you're like you know, you've had a PhD longer than I have. And also maybe people who are wanting to write or create anything that where they want to cite their sources outside of an academic context. So if you're writing a newsletter, if you're doing fun YouTube videos, if you're writing a blog, anything like that, citing your sources is still important to do. And you may or may not need Zotero for that. I'm not going to say this is the one tool for you, or that you would need a system in the first place, but this is something that you might need and care about outside of academia. Often I start talking about it and people are like, oh, I'm not a student anymore. I don't need that anymore. No, you actually might. It might still help you.
That sounds very cool. That's something I hadn't considered, because I mean, I keep a reference list and like a few of my, like, I'm going to say the English version, Zettelkasten videos. I remember like...
I'm pretentious.
Citing, you can do what you want. I remember citing like a couple of videos, and it just triggered now that if I had like a better way of managing it. Well, I manage it in a Logseq with tags and whatever.
Which is a great way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is such an interesting thing, which I think we'll get into, which is like how you manage different like parts of your system in Zotero in Logseq. Because I'm like heavily on Logseq, like
yes,
all PDFs, everything on Logseq. Like I only made the Zotero because there's an integration available, and I thought like for completeness I had to look at it for the course. And yeah, and I'd made a video on it last year because a few people were talking about it in the forums. But I mean, there's so much more that can be done. So yeah, I mean, you can share your screen, you can do whatever you want. I'll just sit here and be a passenger.
Yes, yeah. So I'm very much like not a tool person. I'm a what is your need person, and what are the tools that help fit that. So I'm not a I need one tool to do everything person. I know some people are. I kind of sometimes try to caution people against making a tool something that it's not meant to do. But if they figure out a way to make it do the thing they need them to do, by all means. Like, I'm not a task management in Logseq person. I am not a file cabinet in Logseq kind of person. But I know some people use it that way. That's just not my use case. So let me share my screen. I'm just going to share my whole desktop.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm definitely that person. I'm joking.
Yeah. And I know some people are. I wanted to be that person, to be honest. So first off, like, if you're gonna do Zotero, there's gonna be like a big red download button here, right? And it's zotero.org. And it works on Mac, Macs, Windows, Linux. There is a Linux version for all you Linux people out there. And if you have an iPhone, there is an iOS version now. That is within like the past 6 months or something that they've created a mobile app for it. Or there's like, if you just need a quick bibliography, they have like a little like generator thing. So you download it, it will sense your whatever operating system you are on, and you will download it there. And also, this is the part that like saves people like so much time and effort. There is a browser extension, and if you have Safari, if you're a Safari person, it comes, once you download Zotero, it comes like bundled in it, because the Mac, like the Safari plugin system is all different now. But there is one for Safari, there wasn't for a while. So you'll download both of them. Just using Zotero, you don't necessarily need to create an account. But if you're going to use the Logseq integration, you will need an account. And if you want to use it on multiple computers, or like store things in the cloud, you will need an account for it. That is also free. If you are not using it with these tools, you don't need an account. You can just use it locally on your computer. So you create an account, all that. The browser extension, it will be like an icon here, and like depending on what type of web page you are on, it will detect the resource. And so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but for example, once you get the thing installed, we're going to go to your YouTube channel here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you'll see that my Zotero web plugin has turned into a webcam, because it detects that this is a video recording. And so it automatically knows what type of, it tries to guess, because it's based on whatever metadata is available on that web page, metadata librarian, and will guess, oh, this is a YouTube video, this is a video recording. I'm going to structure the reference and grab the information as a video recording. And so it will do that for basically anything. It doesn't automatically detect podcasts, but it can, that is a type of format that you can cite. You can also cite tweets with Zotero, by the way. I know sometimes people are citing tweets and things more so Zotero can also grab tweets and cite
I
them
was just
for you.
thinking, like, we had to use the Harvard method for like citation. I was thinking, how do you like do a Harvard citation of a tweet?
Zotero will help you. It will
Yeah.
figure it out for you. But like, there's papers I've written where the very first thing I cite is a tweet, right? I know in some disciplines it's like, you get everything in PubMed and, nothing else exists, right? But for some people, especially more in the humanities and social sciences, thinking about the types of information that you can cite and use, Zotero can very much, and I'll show what that looks like. So you get it all downloaded. You will get your account, and you can actually view your library online here. And you check your settings because you can make this public, which is fun because if you're doing a presentation or if you have a long bibliography, but maybe you're doing a YouTube video and you don't want to put a bajillion, like a very long bibliography in the video or in the notes, you can make a link to a folder and share that. I've done that for presentations before, and then I leave the folder up for a little bit, however long I think people are going to need it, So be aware that if you get rid of the folder or
That's
anything,
clever.
that people will lose that information. Yeah, I do that all the time. But yeah, you can see in my library, I have about 1,300 things in here. And you'll see these are all the tags that like automatically picks up. And so on the desktop, and you'll see it like looks like a little manila folder now because it detects that there's more than one reference on the page. So if we look on, when you first open Zotero, it will not look like this. You have to go into your preferences and you have to sync and sign in. So if I were to tell people
Sorry, can I just ask you a random question? Is it possible to like expand, maximize it to make it full screen, just like so it's a bit zoomed in? Because I think people always are telling me that I'm not zoomed in enough. Or
yes, I can maximize and then view font size.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Bigger. Boom. So yeah, I'm realizing I'm being a very bad instruction librarian, and I didn't say what Zotero was. Why you might need it. It's 8 a.m. Here in New Hampshire. So Zotero is a free and open source. I know that it's important to Logseq people. Reference manager where it can help you with whatever sort of research or writing that you're doing, where it can store and save the bibliographic information. That's a big word that means like all of like this information, like about like what you would see in a library catalog, but doesn't just refer to books. It can store all the information about a reference, and then when you go to write something, for example, it can help you generate both the citation and the bibliography in basically any citation style that you can think of. And it can do that and update things automatically, or you can do it more manually. It has word processor integrations with Microsoft Word, Libre, Office, however you say it, as well as Google Docs. And then for things that aren't that, you often, like if it's LaTeX, if it's Emacs org mode, things like that, there are also ways of integrating with those, but it's not nearly as seamless as if you're using a word processor. So that's sort of just what Zotero is. It helps you cite your sources, and you want to cite your sources because you're telling people where you got information, and otherwise you might be accused of plagiarism, which is never fun. It will get you kicked out of school. So don't do a plagiarism, kids. Don't do that. But yeah, so that's sort of the basics of what Zotero is. It saves you a lot of time, and it's free, completely free. Version 6 also has a PDF reader and annotator in it. Now, it did not used to. This is a very new feature where you can take highlights, and you can view like your notes. That's all the notes forever. Boop. So you can see like whatever like annotations and stuff that you've
Can I
made.
comment on this? Like, I found this to be
Yeah,
quite janky. Like
it
where
is. It's new.
you take like a highlight and then you make a note on it, and it stores the highlight or stores the note in the page or in like the actual page, but it doesn't create like a place where you can export it. Then you have to like convert it to this, where you are now. You have to convert it there before you can bring it into like Microsoft Word. When I was just like playing around this week, I found that very
So
strange.
any of the notes in Zotero, again, getting a little bit ahead. So you can make notes
Sorry.
outside of that. You can make a note up here, either as like a child of something or as a standalone, or if you are in a reference, you can go to note here and add. If you go to the note, you can right click on it. You can export the note as Markdown or HTML, whichever you prefer, and do OK. And this is now a Markdown note, and we're gonna skip ahead and put this in my Logseq. And this is a surprise tool that will help us later, right? And so you can do that. You'll also see that Zotero can store attachments for your references, so PDFs, but any other kind of document, PowerPoint presentation, it will store them inside of your Zotero, but that is when you might actually need to start paying for storage because the PDFs eat it up quickly. Again, getting a little ahead, there is a plugin called Zotfile that can help you manage a way, because you'll see mine has like a link right there. What that means is that this PDF is not in Zotero. It is somewhere else in my file system, and this is a link to where that is. It will still open up in here and I can do things with it, but this is not in my Zotero storage. This is elsewhere. Yeah.
Let me back it
Come
up a
back
little
a
bit
little
there
bit.
because I think like
Yeah.
I've taken us off stream, but I think the one thing there was the storage, and you say it's only if you're needing to use the sync services that you need the storage or the API. So if everything is local, you don't need to pay for Zotero.
No, yeah, correct.
Okay,
Zotero is free, an account is free. Storage is also free. Like you do need the account to use the Logseq integration because it relies on the API. But if you're not using the Logseq integration and you're just using it on like one computer, you don't need to log in, you don't need to sync, and your storage limit is how big your computer is.
Yeah, but recovery,
Yeah.
people must always set up recovery things because there'll be tears
Yeah.
when...
Yeah, then you can like have your PDFs in your Google Drive
Yeah.
or in your Dropbox, or I have iCloud.
So what you're saying is the Zotfile allows you to point to files outside of your Zotero directory and access them and open them and highlight them, but then you can almost evade that storage limit. I don't want to use the word evade, that's a terrible word.
So
Tax evasion going on here.
you can do that without Zotfile. Zotfile can help do it more automatically. So Zotero, like when you clip something from the web, will grab whatever PDF it can find with it and will automatically do that. Then I would have to manually like move it, rename it, make a link for it, because like you can right click, add attachment, like add link to file. You can do that without Zotero or without Zotfile. Zotfile just automates that process. But like I store things in like my iCloud documents. I have like a Zotero folder here.
I'm so impressed that you're like, just happy going and navigating through your computer. I'm very like, whoa. I'm like,
There's nothing spicy in here. But
maybe I'm spicy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my public and private life kind of get Arthur's got the zoomies, kind of get merged a lot for various reasons. But yeah, this is that PDF right here.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can do that without Zotfile. Zotfile just will do it like automatically for you. It makes your life easier. If you have the money and want to pay for Zotero storage, by all means do it. They're good people. They're like a digital humanities center at like George Mason University or something like that. So if you want to support them and pay money, by all means do so. But if you're like a broke college student, broke grad student, um, a broke person, like if you don't have that money, that is a resource for you to get around having to pay for storage.
Yeah, open source
Yeah.
business model, always strange. It's like you'll have some
Yeah.
people supporting. We could go on the communism train there and be like, we've got some people supporting and then other people not. Anyways,
To each according to his means, right?
Let's avoid that. So yeah, open source baffles me. But let me not disrupt the train anymore. I will.
Yeah. So yeah, like to very quickly show like how you get things into Zotero. Zotero is like, if that's where we want to go on the train right now.
Let's go.
Yeah. So there are a couple of ways for doing it. Again, it's according to what your preference is, what makes sense for your workflow, what makes sense for the reference you're needing to cite. That's why there's so many different ways to do it. The most common way is going to be using that web clipper. So for example, let's go to Google Scholar, right? Sure, let's look at this recommended article, right? Let's do it. So
I love the way I did it.
Yeah, because I'm all signed in and like I actually have a Google Scholar profile, right? Because I have like cited articles and stuff. So I'm just gonna like, you do a search, right, for something, and I'm gonna refresh this. You'll see that the icon has turned into like a manila folder, because normally it like will detect like, oh, there's more than one thing on this page that you can cite, and so you can like click that folder, and I would like to add this to my library, right? I'm gonna click OK, and you're gonna see boop. And then a nice thing that it can do is it can, and you'll see Zotfile little popped up there in the corner, a new attachment. It renamed it. It can also, especially if it's like a web page, it will take like a snapshot of the web page where it basically downloads the web page as an HTML file as it is when you are looking at it, so that if that web page ever gets taken down or changes, you still have a record of what it was like exactly when you accessed that item. It's kind of like having the Wayback Machine, but as a file. Yeah, so that is very helpful if you're citing blog posts.
Sorry, just a random question. How did it access that PDF? Because you're just in the page here. What about like the permissions and the sign-ins and the
This one is probably open source, or not open source, open access, right? Because not every PDF is going to be behind a paywall in scholarship. If this were behind a paywall and I wasn't like logged in my university account or whatever, it would not have grabbed it. But I can show you what it looks like in a database, right? But I figure a lot of people are going to be using Google Scholar, right? That's where most college students go, and especially if you don't have an institutional access to a database, that's where you're going to go. And you'll see it has, I'm going to close this, has grabbed it for us, right?
When I was doing my bachelor's, like there was none of this stuff. It was a mess. Just, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I completely get it. Yeah. So you'll see that it grabbed that lovely PDF for us. It recognized that this is a journal article. It got the title for us. It got every single author in the order that they're cited. It knows what publication it is. All that information. It's got the DOI. It even knows we got it from, I'm going to move you, from Google Scholar. And oh yeah, it didn't get any tags or anything. It knows when we added it and anytime we will modify it. So that is something that is really useful, right? Gotta move you again. Say I wanted to cite your really good YouTube video. Seriously, the way you changed how I use PDFs in Logseq. I was like, oh, duh. So
I
I'm gonna
keep
cite.
changing it. Like it just
Yeah.
there's some new, well, after the chat that we had the other day and the chat that I'm having today, like I'm making another video. Like it's just like refining it. As I say, you just like find the edges.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So if I wanted to like cite this, I click this. All right, it has recognized that, and you'll see it knows it's a video recording. It knows that the director is the name of your YouTube channel. It grabs the like description of the video that you put in there. It knows when it was made, its running time, the URL, when I accessed this, and that it's from YouTube.
oh my word.
Yeah, it's great. And so if you are in a library catalog, right? The thing that I always search for when I'm testing, because I actually, today's my last day doing it, but I maintain the front end of our catalog here. So I'm about to show off my own work. I make this look nice and we're good.
It's like actually the front end development, like doing what React or JavaScript or.
Most of it is most of it is doing like configuration, but there is a little Angular JavaScript
Okay.
and CSS and HTML of like, this is something that was like a plugin, like a library that someone created that like a NPM, like a node package that another library made. This is a package that a library made, so is this. But a lot of this is just like CSS or just backend like configuration. But say I wanted to cite this children's book on ghosts. Someone's got it checked out. You'll see Zotero's turned into a little book. Boop. Gonna click the book. Back to Zotero.
Whilst you wait to get it back, oh, that was so quick. It's just a bit weird though that it changes the icon. I feel like from a UI perspective, like some people would be like a bit puzzled by that. But anyways, I mean,
yeah, it really helps to like. I think it's nice that it like recognizes what's going on. So it's a book. It knows the title. It knows the author. It knows this person's an illustrator, and so they're listed as a contributor. It grabbed the description from the library catalog. It knows that this was the first edition, where it was published, when, what language it's in. Basically, like any of the metadata, the cataloging stuff, it grabs that for us, right? So this is useful. It can get all sorts of stuff. If you are in a database, I assume most people are either going to use an EBSCOhost database or a JSTOR database, and JSTOR is kind of weird. Oh, yeah, I don't want you to see my Bitwarden password.
No,
there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't want people to just see.
I mean,
so
that would
normally
be,
I like turn that off so I can see what I'm typing.
Literally, if you gave that, it would be like they could access everything. They'd have the keys to the castle.
Yeah. So like say I'm searching for like for Dracula. Look at some Draculas. Oh, this looks cool. You'll see we sometimes it like takes a second. Also, it's weird with JSTOR sometimes. So I'm gonna like click here, and you'll see it's like turned into like a page. If I click this, what it's probably gonna do. Oh, okay, it did pick it up. Sometimes it's really weird about JSTOR because sometimes with JSTOR you have to like accept something first, right? And so it won't actually grab it. So yeah, like this might pop up. So if you just have a PDF, it'll either like be a PDF icon up here or this, and it can still grab it. Or if you download it, it's go into my downloads. Not even going to bother renaming it.
Although, I mean, there's so many different things you can get into, but like the naming later on, there's a bug in the Zotero thing, which I got confirmation on this morning. Like if you,
Really?
yeah, but it's not in the Zotero, it's in PDFs. Like if there's a special character, and you re-index your database, it loses your highlights.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
I'll show you. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm going to drag this into my library. Just this regular PDF. I could drag it right on top of, like, I already have this citation, right? I could just drag it on top of an existing thing and add it. But if I just drag this PDF, all right, we got the PDF in here. Boop. It grabs the metadata from the PDF and like recognizes it.
That's the coolest thing for me. I
Mm-hmm.
was always doing it from the upload side, and I'm just like, I just upload it. I'm like, I wait for a couple of seconds, and boom.
Boop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes if it's not like an OCR'd or something, if it's like just like a scanned thing, that's not going to work. And so then you need to manually make it or go find it somewhere. Oh no, they're dead naming Jack. Don't look it. Don't look it. His name's not Judith anymore. But shame on you, Jason. Well, maybe he wants to be cited as that name for that publication still. Another way you can do things manually. Sometimes you might have to. There's also this magic wand here.
Yeah.
Magic wand's great. So if you have like an ISBN of a book, if you have a DOI, if you have like a PubMed ID, anything like that. So
what's a DOI?
A DOI is something object identifier. So librarians, we love our acronyms, and we know what it means, but we always forget what they stand for.
But yeah, what does it mean? Because I know the ISBN is for a book, PubMed ID would be for a PubMed article or whatever, I think. But then DOI?
DOI is a type of persistent object identifier. So it's just a number, but like if I click on like the DOI thing, it takes me like if full DOI, it's like doi.org/whatever, and it takes you to like, Taylor and Francis online. It's kind of like if you were to do like a bit.ly or something where this DOI is never going to change, even if like this URL or something changes. It's a like type of persistent identifier for that thing. It's normally used in journal articles, but sometimes you'll see it on books or other resources. So like say you have like a DOI. I'm going to delete this from my library. Move that into trash. You can't drag and drop into trash, which annoys me. And I'm going to do the magic wand. And it grabs the info from the DOI. If the PDF if it's an open access article, it will grab the PDF, but it's not, so it doesn't grab it for me.
Wow.
It did grab it when I was in a database because I then had access to the PDF. So just
how does it know that
FYI.
you have access? Like, does it go through your browser or like? Sorry, that's probably a very technical question.
So you'll see here, like, there's no way for me to read the PDF here. There's no way for me to download it. There's no way for me to access it here because I don't have access to this. And I know, well, I don't remember if I actually have access to this journal like through my library account, but I didn't get here through my library account or via my university's IP address. So it's like you're not a person who has access to this.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't even give me the option to look at the PDF. Whereas I do have access to JSTOR, and like the PDF, the full thing is like right there. And so Zotero, like in the page, it sees like the PDF download link.
Yeah, sure.
And can grab that information. Like it sees the file.
Yeah. So we've been covering like getting things into Zotero.
Or we
How
time
would
to do
you?
the magic?
Well, we're an hour in, and I'm like, oh, there's so much still to cover. So,
This part can be quick.
yeah, what are we doing now?
So say you get things into Zotero, great. I would recommend double checking just this information, right? It is only as good as the metadata provided. It is not an AI. It is not that smart. It is only grabbing what is available to it. So often, sometimes in a database, you'll see it gets this mixed up because someone will have their degree or their email address because that's what the journal requires. And it doesn't know that, like, it's not semantic. Like it's not doing linked data or semantic data or anything. It's not doing structured data. So it doesn't know that that would be like the email address of that person. Computers don't know what email addresses are, right? It just knows that it does this specific thing, but it's just bits and bytes and whatnot. You know, computers aren't that smart. They're as smart as we are and what we give them, right?
For now.
Yeah. So, you know, double check this information. But say you're writing a paper, and so whether you're in LibreOffice or Microsoft Word or Google Docs, I can briefly show in a Google Docs. So say we're in Word. Takes a second, right? It has to think about it.
Got to get the Mac M1. Not that I'm a Mac user, but I see you're
Yeah,
a Mac
I bought
user.
this.
Everyone's talking about M1, and I'm like, okay.
It's really nice, actually. This is only an 8 gig RAM, but because of the M1, it's like it's really zippy.
So this is the M1.
This is an M1. Yeah, I got this in January. This is an Air. This is a MacBook Air M1. You know, like crappy Airs, right?
I don't even know the difference.
MacBook Air is like the very just like it's lightweight, and it's not the one that you do like photo editing and video editing on,
got you.
right? It's not the workhorse. So this is my very good paper. My goo paper. We're leaving it in.
Yeah.
I am writing blah 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 blah, whatever, right? Oops, I need to cite something, and I'm gonna assume a lot of people are gonna be doing like APA or MLA, where it's like parentheses, like parenthetical in text citation. So in Zotero, sometimes it does this automatically, sometimes it doesn't. So look at your preferences, go to Cite, go to word processors, and this is where you can install the add-ins for your word processors. Go back to our word processor, and then the Zotero thing pops up. Magic. You can set your document preferences here before you start, but just I'm gonna add a citation, and it's gonna ask me what citation style. These are not all of them. These are the ones it has loaded at the moment. Literally anything in this citation style language GitHub you can use, and if the one you need doesn't exist, put it in the Zotero forum. Someone will make it for you.
This is why we should pay the nice people at Zotero.
Well, CSL isn't even Zotero. It's its own thing. Yeah. You can also edit your own and make your own. So you're going to leave this as fields, and you're going to automatically update your citations. So we're going to do okay.
Oh, that's cool.
And you'll see like this thing come up. So I'm going to just like minimize Zotero because most of the time, you know, just have this. And you search for like, because I wouldn't use this as a like I'm browsing, I'm looking by topic. Use this as like I know the thing I'm going to cite is how you use this. This is not a exploratory tool really, but I know this is the thing that I cite in every single thing I've ever written. That's why I know it. So it's like you do something from the title or the author or like the description, whatever you remember. All right. And boop. And it makes your APA citation for you. What if we need a page number? Add edit citation. And I'm gonna do something. Say I know, yep, this is the Wikidata article. Article on Wikidata I want. I totally just like guess something out of thin air. what if we need a page number? You can click into it and put like a page number. This is also where you can do like a prefix or a suffix, like C whatever. And if it's like a chapter, you can do like what chapter it's from, what line it's from if you're doing poetry, stuff like that. So whatever, like
Whoa.
if you need to specify something, but most of the time it's going to be page, right? Boop.
That's so
And
cool.
oh, I need to cite like 3 authors. All right, so I'm gonna say a book, Staying with the Trouble. It's very good. And I'm going to cite you, Magic. And I'm going to cite, oh God, I'm blanking. Let's see. Great, cool. And like a journal article. And with Haraway, I'm gonna do like a page. Great.
Yo,
Cool. All right.
that's really cool.
Bibliography, this is not how you format an APA paper, but like, all right, we got our ready for a bibliography. Add edit bibliography.
This is the thing that I was like a bit bummed at when I tried it, because I was playing around with it yesterday. I would actually show my like one other way of doing things, which is more like a shortcut way of doing things. Not like a Zotero shortcut, but using Microsoft's like alt keys. I can actually explain you through it. But the indentation like that, is that part of the style, or is that?
It can depend. This is the way that Zotero can do it. What you can do is stop it. Is you can go in and like edit this if you need to. If you're someone in Microsoft Word who knows how to go and edit the styles,
That's important
like,
in Microsoft Word.
yeah, like you can go in and like edit the bibliography style and stuff. But it can be good to just like go in and like, oh, I need to edit this, or I want to actually make this a hyperlink. This is also a good way to see like, oh, this is in title case, this is in title case, this is in sentence case. I need to be, what is it that APA requires, right? Because it's not going to automatically do title and sentence case for you. Yeah, so that's like something you would need to go in and edit. All right, so we've done, we're going to submit this to a journal. Oh, they reject it, bummer. We're going to submit to another journal. They require Chicago notes bibliography. So like footnotes and stuff. We're going to go document preferences. And we're going to do Chicago manual of style note bibliography. And we want footnotes, or do we want endnotes? Let's do footnotes.
What's the difference?
Endnotes means they're all at the end of the document. Footnotes is at the bottom of each page. So you'll see it automatically change things to.
So this is just a different citation style. I thought this was like headers and footers were a thing in and of themselves. Okay, this shows just how much I know about academia.
In any form of writing, you can use footnotes and endnotes for like commentary as well. But in certain citation styles, that is also where you put your in-text citations as well.
Okay.
So you'll see this changed our citations to footnotes. Now, it doesn't move our punctuation for us. You will have to do that manually if you do this kind of switching.
Damn
right?
it, Zotero.
Yeah, damn it, Zotero. So you'll see it did all that nice for us, and it did our bibliography. Now, what if I actually want this sentence here. It automatically changed our numbers for us and moved things around here. It can detect where it is. And so it automatically, because like this was originally 3, this is 1 now. I didn't do that.
That's
And it
very
moved
cool.
it down here. And like, let's see, this is one that,
How many people that you come across are still doing this sort of thing manually? Like as a
more than you would,
percentage?
more than you would think, especially if they're professors. It's mainly professors. I would say a good 80%.
Oof.
Where they have like index cards or an Excel spreadsheet or something. So this is just like, they're just like fields. And so you kind of like click into the field, right? Like I want to edit the citation this time. Let's say I don't want to cite this article anymore. You need to like get the cursor and get rid of that. And it automatically updates the citation. And this is tiny. I apologize.
I forgot about that. Whoops.
Yeah, and our bibliography for us. That is
Sure.
the nice thing about Zotero. It like in the processor integrations, it automatically does this kind of updating for you. It's nice.
Yeah. The one thing which I wanted to add,
Yes.
let me share my screen. I don't know if I can share my screen. Oh, you have to enable it because you're the host.
Yeah, because I have all the power.
Yeah, all the power.
All participants. There you go.
What's happened?
Ar-
Can you see
Arthur
me?
says, I can see your Microsoft Word. Yeah.
Okay, cool. For some reason, my other screen, it was showing something else. But I have zoomed in here now as well, just to, because from a Microsoft perspective, like they enable shortcuts very
Yeah.
easily through your quick access toolbar. And this is a little trick which I use whenever I use like different Microsoft products. I use like Alt shortcuts. So instead of like having to click into, bye-bye Google. So instead of having to click into the Zotero menu, then say add citation, whatever, I've just added like these little Zotero shortcuts down there. And
I literally didn't know about this.
so that with Microsoft, you can just go Alt, and it will give you like Alt 1. So Alt 2 is a citation. So then we go, there's my citation. Let's open it up on a different screen, and it's now giving me this on a different screen too. But let me, okay, something's not working here that I can't bring it onto the next screen. But let me just say seed earthquake resistant.
Yeah, because are you sharing your screen or just this application?
The screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there we go. There's the thing that I've referenced. But now the cool thing, because I was chatting to my sister about this too, and she's in academia, and she doesn't use Logseq. And when I was showing her Logseq, she was a bit like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do it my way or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. You can take notes in Zotero. She also doesn't use Zotero, but she uses something else. I think Mendeley.
Yeah. Mendeley, like not to like shame it, it is owned by Elsevier, which does mine your data and charges exorbitant amounts of like getting journals and stuff. So politically, I'm like very against Mendeley. I'm sorry, Mendeley, but if people like it, by all means use it.
And
but it does mine your data, so.
And Zotero doesn't? No.
Zotero doesn't.
Sweet, we like Zotero.
He likes Zotero.
if you've got notes in your Zotero database, so this is now like completely agnostic of Logseq, just another hat on here. Someone is using Word and Zotero, and they just want to like figure out how they're doing things. You can bring your notes in. So Alt 1, bring your notes in, and I've got like an annotation. It's showing up on my second screen, which I can't bring up now, and then it's brought in some of my notes there. So it's brought in the reference. With the citation and the notes. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, if you were just doing everything in Zotero, like agnostic of Logseq, you could still bring it in like very, very quickly, just using these shortcuts. So yeah.
That's a new feature too, bringing notes in. Like used to, it was just the citation and the bibliography. I believe the notes, like you could do notes in Zotero, but you couldn't like bring it in, like you would a citation. So that's a cool new thing.
Sure, yeah, that's very cool. Okay, I
Yeah.
feel like I should give it back over to you.
Yes.
And yeah, there's like
Cool.
there's a whole bunch of things which are still on the question list here, like using Zotero and bibtex from the command line, making the bibtex
Yeah.
title be the import for
Yeah.
logseq. I can also cover that sort of stuff quite quickly because I've been like bashing my head trying to figure it out to like try and like get ready
Right.
for this. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like I can sort of I can go into Logseq very briefly and sort of show like how I use it, and then very briefly, like if you are doing more long form writing in Logseq or any form of markdown editor, that maybe doesn't have, because like if you're using Obsidian, maybe not so much Obsidian, but like if you're using org mode in Emacs, there is a way to set it up where it can do like you won't see the bibliography, but where it can do this kind of like search and bring it in cite thing. So let's go into Logseq, and I'm gonna maximize, and I'll like I'll just do like the like regular theme for now. So I do not do long form academic writing in Logseq. I mainly use it as a digital garden, part of which is my Zettelkasten. So like if I go into my Zettelkasten, go into like my published Zettels, I have here. I believe this is like a good one here. Or this one is a good one. So this is a thing I wrote and by my like friend and colleague, the lit crit guy, this like thing he wrote about the films of David Cronenberg. And I like, oh, I need to cite this. And so I like go to my daily notes page, you know, do Zotero, has to think about it. Right. And then I would like bring this in. I already have, so I'm not going to recreate that.
but I think that's an important thing just to like caveat is that like because this is what I discovered only like this week is like if you click that again it brings in the page again or it like adds the metadata like 100 times until you
yeah, so just
yeah.
like create that link, and I do an alias without the at, and yeah, so I like do that, and when I need to cite it in Logseq, so I like brought in the quotation. You can do footnotes in Logseq. I don't know if people know that, and I publish this all online. So if you weren't, sorry if you can hear my cat scratching on the cardboard, you might want to like do this as like the last bullet on the page. Hi Arthur. I use the like Logseq Schrodinger plugin for Hugo, and it automatically recognizes, oh, this is a footnote, and it formats it to be correctly at the bottom of the page. But a markdown footnote is just like that, and you do the correct number.
I did
And
not
then,
know that. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, so if you're doing footnotes, or otherwise you would do just like parentheses, but I do, like a footnote, and then to link it, you do like the same, but then you put a colon after it. And then I just like put a link to the page and then the author. I don't do anything fancy. I don't do a bibliography. I'm not doing any sort of citation style language here. I'm just citing it by giving credit to who it is. You don't have to go wild. I'm not using Zotero to generate the citation. I use Zotero to create my reference note, but like, because I do the very traditional, like the reference note is just like maybe like an index of the things within the reference, but it's mainly just the bibliographic information, and I bring it in as I need it. And so I just do that. So that's how I do this in Logseq. It's really nothing. It's really nothing groundbreaking here. It's very simple. If you were to do it in Logseq and do more like long form writing, right? I did some lorem ipsum and whatnot. You're going to want to make sure that you have Better BibTeX plugin installed for Zotero. And then you get like this info.
And this I will put in the show notes because I've got these downloads already. Like I was playing with it, so the show notes.
And one thing I've noticed, so like Zotero, like in theory, allows you to like click and like drag and drop. I have it actually set to like Rome style double brackets right now. But you can drag and drop for the site key, but I can't get that to work in Logseq. I can't get the drag and drop. So what you just need to do, because you don't want to actually do a page link here. You don't, because Pandoc, what you would use to convert this to a Word document or something, can't read the double brackets. It reads single brackets. So you're going to like copy your citation key once you get Better BibTeX and do like a single bracket setup with the @ sign. Right.
Got you. So so you're saying this is a Pandoc constraint where you're having to just it's looking at site keys to generate the bibliography and also to generate this. It's going to replace that with a citation.
Yes.
Or with the correct citation. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and Pandoc, there's instructions on how to get it set up online. Pandoc's pretty cool. I can show very quickly how, but so like I've written this. There are ways that are kind of complicated where you could convert this to a Word document or a PDF or a LaTeX document or anything where it will automatically generate the citation and bibliography. But if you want to, you can also do it where you can like convert it to a Word document and bring it into Zotero and have that read all of the stuff, and then it turns it into a document that then you can use Zotero in. So in case you need to do final edits or change things. So I have this.
Sure.
Basically,
got my mind thinking. I'll comment on this now. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to open this, and the Better BibTeX plugin has some instructions for also getting this set up. But basically for Pandoc, ignore this. This is like the part that's like the Better BibTeX to do it. But basically you want output test.docx from pages.test.md. You tell it what you want it to go to and what file it's coming from.
So just to slow it down, sorry. So we've gone into the command line. We've also run CMD for Windows people. We've changed the directory to be the directory that our files are in. We have gone
just so we don't have to do like a bunch of directories and slashes. Yeah.
We've got the instructions from Better BibTeX, whatever, to put into that line before Pandoc, and then we're adding the Pandoc syntax of I'm going to change this. I'm going to output to a document or a docx using this markdown file as my source. So it's like output file, input file. That's a syntax.
Yep. Cool. And there are a couple different ways of doing that, but this is probably one of the easiest. Then I click enter. And so what I can then do, if I go into our Logseq here, you'll see now I have a test.docx. I can open this up, and the instructions for it is, oh, okay, and the Better BibTech explains this, I need to set my document preferences, and I'm going to do APA 7th edition. I'm going to do OK.
Wow. Okay.
And then I'm going to
And
refresh.
are those
Yeah,
now linked to the Zotero database?
they sure are.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can go in, because it didn't have a bibliography. I can now add a bibliography.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, so there are ways where you can do it of just like, I'm immediately going to do this to a PDF that's already got the citations and the bibliography. But if you want to bring it into a Word document where it can be linked to Zotero just in case you need to change something or you want to do anything with it later, that's the easiest way to do it. Get rid of our bullet there. It will bring in the page properties. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Page
There are
properties.
gonna be some edits you need to do. But this way, instead of it just like, oh, I recognize what these citations are, I'm going to create everything for you. The end. This is, oh, I can bring this into Microsoft Word and turn the citations I wrote into Zotero fields that then can be updated and changed and whatnot, just in case I need to do that.
It's so interesting though on using the single brackets markdown syntax from like an access perspective, like to be able to, like when I'm writing theoretically, I want to be able to click on the page and go to that page directly to the source page. So I'm thinking like there's ways of doing that which would be like control replace all, but it wouldn't work for the closed bracket side of things. It's easy for the open brackets because you could have it being like replacing the one open bracket at with, or sorry, the double open bracket at with a single bracket at, but the closed brackets would be a different thing. But I'm sure there's ways of like, or they, from a Zotero integration perspective, that they should look at that.
Or like some regular expression that, or something. This is why I normally don't recommend doing this kind of writing in Logseq, because like, unless you just like writing in Logseq, you're really like not going to be able to do this as your linked pages, right? Unless there's something, because I'm not very like, this is not a workflow I do, and I don't use Pandoc, raw like that very often. So there might be some way of fussing with something and making it change things that I don't know about. If someone can figure out something, like leave it in the comments, tweet me, let me know or something, because I would love to be able to tell people that. But I know that if you're writing in org mode in Emacs, so if you maybe create like an org mode document in Logseq and are doing things, and you want to open that in Emacs and stuff, like there are ways of it integrating with like citations in Zotero, where you can do like the search and it will bring things up, and ways of like connecting, like making like in Emacs and org mode, you can do like a page reference, like references, especially with org Rome. Jethro Kuan, I think is how you pronounce his name, has a really good setup, like how I take notes in org Rome or something. I'll send it to you so you can like put it. Has a setup for how to do citations in Zotero with org Rome, and I know a lot of Logseq users are also org Rome users, where it is this sort of, you can sort of cite within it and like create reference notes, and like you're doing all of this in one ecosystem. I think it's like Emacs and org mode, and especially like the org Rome and the sitar, I think is what it's called, and like that is a better like if you're going to do long form writing, because the org export like thing in org mode, like it's incredible. You can just documents, you can do it as like LaTeX, you can do it as PDF through LaTeX, you can do it as like whatever you want, and it will generate it for you. I actually love doing long form writing in org mode in Emacs.
I've never used it. People have like asked, like, have you used it? I'm like, no, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, the only reason I switched to Markdown in Logseq was because a lot of the plugins aren't compatible with org mode. They're only compatible with Markdown.
Oh, gotcha. So you
Especially
were
if you,
actually using org mode files in Logseq.
at first I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because I like org mode. It's fun.
Very cool.
Um, but like I wanted to put my digital garden online, and you know, the Logseq like Schrodinger thing won't convert org mode to Hugo compatible
Yeah.
Markdown.
I feel like this is actually like a pretty simple thing for someone to do, like from a development perspective. I don't know, like in my mind, it's just like,
Yeah,
I look at like the way that Joel Chan uses Rome and uses the site keys there. And I don't know how he exports that, but I feel like it's almost like if you have an index of the site keys used in your database, then some script
yeah,
could very easily change it. But like it will have it's something that I'm like will have to be built, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like to use the better BibTeX thing, like Pandoc with Zotero, is actually like a filter, like a Lua document filter that you have to download where it knows how to read things. So someone could probably write like a Logseq
Lua. Yeah,
filter
that like, I mean
or
that's exactly what it's doing there. It's got the like
Mhm.
the reg express or regular expression thing. Not that I know much about regular expressions, but that looks like very cool.
Yeah. So someone could probably very easily write a like a logseq or Rome dot Lua like Pandoc filter where then you could do that more like where you could have the wiki, like the double brackets. I'm not literate. I have a degree in literature. Like I'm not. I probably couldn't do it, but if someone could, that'd be really neat. Because then you could have that sort of linked thing instead of just doing it manually like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, okay. So
Yeah. Whew.
we've gone on for some time now. I want to start bringing it
Yes.
to a close. So I know you have to go, and I should go as well at some point.
Arthur, come say bye.
Well, no.
Yeah.
A few questions still.
Yeah.
Where do you? And then I also want to show that the intricacies of logseq slash Zotero just very quickly.
Hmm.
Where are you storing your PDFs and doing your annotations, like from a workflow perspective?
Right. So again, just so I don't have to pay, I have iCloud Drive, and in my documents, I have a Zotero folder. This is not the Zotero folder that Zotero creates, like in your root directory. This is one that I made just for my PDFs. So I have Zotfile set up to automatically move and rename PDF files that Zotero grabs, and it puts them in here. So I do a kind of like traditional, like I'm not doing like the book summary type of reference or literature note. I do the very kind of Luhmann, how to take smart notes, like you're more creating like an index. So I'm gonna uh, do that Dracula thing. Oh, this looks fun. All right, let's do this. Ooh. And I actually don't like having the site key as my top because I'm not using the site key,
Okay, got
right?
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I create it here. I immediately go in and I create an alias without the at. So when I use it elsewhere, I can just do the title. So this doesn't have a PDF in it. That was a bad example. Oopsie. Um, whatever. Okay. Oops. I did the wrong thing. I'll do a PDF. My bad. Sorry, kids. People aren't kids. I just say that. Cool. I believe this has a PDF. Yeah. Okay. I hate having the abstract as a link. I don't need that. I don't need journal article as a
Good
link
point.
either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I don't need that. I have it set up so even that my attachments isn't linked, whatever. I often will remove all of these tags because I don't need it. But we're just going to open up our PDF
That's all very good
now.
points.
Yeah.
Which I think we could go into in detail into like how you structure things elsewhere, but we'll avoid that.
Yeah. So let's say I'm like reading. Now there is a bug, and I put in a GitHub issue for this. So what I recommend is like the first time you make a highlight, I'm gonna highlight it before you open up your annotations page. Like make a block reference to it somewhere. You can always get rid of it, but I'm going to copy the block reference and
Is
then
this the
open
bug
up.
where it like does that file path creation thing there?
Yeah, because otherwise it will either not have all this or it won't include the first highlight you take.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna like, oops, get rid of that, right? And so as you can see, like you can edit all this. So what I'll do is I'll like get rid of this and I'll do like, I don't need the page because it does that. And I'll just be like, mentions history of whatever. And then I'll like put the tag of
Heidegger.
yeah, I don't know what this is about. Why is this doing this to me? It's making me look bad. There we go. I'm gonna say this is like related. It's related to hypertext for me right now, right? And so, if I were,
And is that the adaptation that you did after the course? That like
because I didn't know I could do this, yeah.
no, that was
Because
also
I'm
a
like,
cool discovery.
oh, I'm sorry, Arthur. I hit Arthur's tail. And so that's how I do the PDFs. They aren't in the assets folder. They aren't in Zotero. They live, because it's iCloud, they are both in the cloud and downloaded onto my computer. So
I see you've got a good consistency in your naming though, to avoid special characters. I think that's where you avoid the bug that I've come
here,
across. Well, no, just in general, like in all your PDFs are like consistently named through that plugin. But what I found is that if you are using like, or if you have special characters in your file names, what happens when you re-index is it creates like namespaces, it does all funny things, and then I was losing my highlights. So I was there, Zotfile. Zotfile. Pronounce that right. Okay.
there it is. This is how the renaming rules. I have it author, year, and the title, and I separate things with like underscores. It replaces blanks.
Because that's I'd done a whole lot of work on this in prep of one video, and I went back to the files and all the highlights were gone. And it's when the file is in your Logseq assets folder, you're pretty safe. Like those highlights are safe. It gets stored in like an EDN file and a markdown file, the HLS markdown file. But if your files are in Zotero or like using a file path, like an absolute directory rather than a relative Logseq directory, you can lose those files, lose the highlights. Sorry. So it's just like I'm cautious to say to people like rather use Logseq as your first port of call unless you really know what you're doing, and like and all files are consistently named or something. It's just like whilst it's still in beta and like these things are being developed, like the team has said that they don't have the bandwidth to focus on these things right now, which is fine. I mean, they're doing the sync and whatever. So just like focus on or like a consistency. Like, so I'm just doing everything from the Logseq database at the moment.
So I will say, even though my PDFs are elsewhere, it still creates my, it still has the .eden file for the highlight for the PDF in my assets folder.
Yes, no, that's right. And that's expected behavior. But when it, I don't know why it actually. It's because of that naming, the namespace or the name.
Yeah.
Sorry, the special characters and names that it messes up that little thing there.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I've also taken to renaming all my PDFs to avoid any special names.
Yeah, like do not have forward slashes.
Or even periods.
Yes,
periods
so
and
that's something with the Readwise. So I'm beta testing or alpha testing the official Readwise plugin. Go into Readwise and like remove as much punctuation from your
oh.
titles as you can. Otherwise, it will create like separate pages, like, and it's a mess.
So
So I think
random.
they're working on it, but
Yeah, I don't actually use the plugin. I started, but then I actually export to Markdown, and then because I don't like creating articles for each page, or sorry, pages for each article. Like I like having
yeah,
everything in the daily journal. But yeah, the one,
yeah.
the other thing which I
Hmm.
I, I see because you don't use the BibTeX thing, but I think other people might. If you are bringing in articles from Zotero and you want it to be in that site key format, you have to
Right.
go into Zotero
Hmm.
and then is this zoomed in? Can I zoom in more? I can't. And then the better BibTeX creates that site key, but for Zotero to bring it in, you actually have to pin it. So you have to
Yes.
say better BibTeX, pin BibTeX key, and then it'll
Hmm.
bring in your page names with that at
Hmm.
symbol. You also have to
Yeah.
specify in the Zotero settings that you have
Yes.
to use the site key as a page name, but you have to
Otherwise, the
pin it
site key
first.
could change. Yeah.
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 So yeah. Okay, that was the one thing which I wanted to show. I
Hmm.
don't know what else is on my list here that we haven't gotten to. I feel like, whew, my word, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
That wasn't my best instruction session in the entire
no,
world.
no,
That
no.
wasn't to like going through and like, here's how you do this.
No, I mean,
But
it would be interesting. Like, if people want to have more of that, I imagine that you are open to consulting or not. No, I don't know.
hmm.
You are okay. So
Yes.
they can
Yes.
reach you. I'm gonna add your link from your Twitter bio in the show notes.
Yeah.
Um, any closing remarks on Zotero, Logseq, all these things?
I will say that just very briefly, I'm not going to get too political with this, but often,
Oh,
often citation is taught in the framework of punishment. If you don't cite something, you will be doing a plagiarism and you will get kicked out of school, or you'll be a journalist and lose your job and be shunned forever, or all of this stuff. It's taught through the framework of punishment and not really the why you're doing it or what it does. So I encourage people, and maybe this will encourage people to like use citation in whatever method they choose outside of academia. Um, View citation as like giving voice to the people whose work you're in conversation with, right? Like view it as joining the network of information and scholarship out there that you are now contributing to. And think about who it is that you're citing and not just what you're citing, because often in a lot of disciplines, the majority of people who are being cited are white men. And it's just, and sometimes that's the only people to cite in a field, right? But that can be something to think about like who are you in conversation with and whose work are you giving like a platform and stuff, and not just a view citation as like, if I don't do it, I will
punishment.
be punished. Yeah.
Yeah. On the Zotero side of things, just giving you a bit of more platform now for your services. Like, what would it look like if someone was to like have a session with you? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I currently have a client right now. She is a researcher in like a medical center. And it started out as using Zotero within knowledge management systems and workflows. So not just using Zotero in general. That would not need ongoing consultation. Like I would be more than happy to do a one-on-one, like a one session of like helping people get set up and stuff. But with her, it's ongoing because it's how does she use it in her knowledge management and research workflows. So what it might look like is you would get in contact with me and we would have like an intro free session, like 30 minutes to an hour, where we talk about your needs, your goals, what you already know, what have you already tried and what are your pain points, what are you looking to get out of it, because like consultation is very directed. Coaching is very undirected. So coaching is like, what do you need? You're leading this kind of, I'm here to help. Consultation is, I'm telling you what to do based on what you've told me. And there's places all along that spectrum. So you would like, tell me that, and then we would see like, okay, this is a good fit. This is good for ongoing. This is good for like maybe like a one-time thing, whatever. So if we then decide to move forward, some of the things that she and I talk about is like, if she is using Zotero and has all these like references, how does she sort of like, her work involves doing a lot of things with like lipids and triglycerides, and those are named weird, and she wants to create a network of how they're all connected and wants to connect that to the papers she's citing. And so like she's using Logseq both as like, a research log, like a lab notebook, but also creating like a network of all of these molecules and tying that web, like tying each of those also to the papers that she's citing. So we go through and it's like, oh, well, how do I get it to do this? Or these are some of my pain points right now. This is a need I'm wanting to do. What can we work on that? Like I try to direct it based on what she needs, but there are certain like goalposts of like, oh, okay, this might be a good thing to work towards. So it's a very like, depending on what a client, coachee, whatever would want, it's either they direct it based on what they're needing, and then I'm there to help give advice or answers, or we work through it together, or it's like, this is exactly what I need, tell me what to do, and then I can like set up a like, okay, this is the structure we're going to do, this is how you're going to do it, see if that works, if not, we'll tweak it.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah.
That's very cool. So yeah, closing words for me, I think, I've seen you on the forum there helping people, just like, creating little separate chats and going off like detail, like how to use Zotfile, whatever. So yeah, thanks for the contributions you're doing there. I think you've got an article coming out very soon as well. So yeah, and I don't want to hold you to anything, but I know that you're also doing some work on documentation or whatever. So yeah, thanks for all the work that you're doing in Logseq. I mean, it's very cool.
Trying to, be the librarian in the information management and knowledge management organization.
All you knowledge management gurus, bah! No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I want to yell at Tiago for calling it an archive. I'm like, that's not what an archive is. That's erasing the labor of archivists. Stop that.
That's hilarious. Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's it for our conversation. So a huge shout out to Jay and word of thanks for being so willing to come onto the channel and share his knowledge. Jay is doing fantastic work in the community and answering questions in the forum, etc. So big appreciation. I've added a link to Jay's profile or Linktree profile where you can get in touch with him for further Zotero consulting. If you'd like to support him through his affiliate link for my course, that's weird, you can support both of us. There's his link is also in that profile. So yeah, thanks again to Jay. In the next Logseq Legends video, we're going to get a little bit more into Logseq specifically, but nonetheless, I'd love to hear what you thought about this. If there's anything that you saw from the Zotero workflow that you would want to comment on. I think Jay left a couple of questions up there as well, from a workflow perspective, how you might write your citations in Logseq. If you have a better way of doing that, please drop it in the comments so that someone else can see that information. Thank you so much, and see you next time. I quickly wanted to break down how you can go about installing Better BibTeX, because it's not like you go to a website that says Better BibTeX and you just install it. It's from this site, retalk.re, and I'll add a link in the description. And simply you need to go down here and go to download. And let me just actually open up the full process. And you'll see that you get redirected to GitHub. And the file that I downloaded is the XPI code. If you know what you're doing, I imagine you can do the source code or this other one over here. And then you go to Zotero. Actually, let me just quickly back up a bit there. I really enjoyed this website because it says, please read these instead of clicking through when looking at the instructions. It is quite helpful to read through those instructions. If you go to Zotero then, you go to Tools, and then Add-ons, and then you can add your add-ons here. So you just say install add-on from files, you click on the little gear icon, and then I have put that Zotero beta bibtex file in my programs folder, and that is a .xpi file, and then I can open that and Bob's your uncle. You've got your beta bibtex integration into Zotero. And then you see here that I've got this citation key. I've then gone and pinned those different citations so that it imports that as the page name into Logseq. The other thing that Jay wanted to mention is that you can select items here in Zotero. So if I select these 3 items over here, I can just right click on that and generate a bibliography from those items. So if I go here, well, then I've chosen the output method to copy to clipboard, or I can choose to output the citations that I've got there. So it's one of those 2, citations or bibliography. I'm just going to say copy to clipboard, and then I can go and paste that in the application of my choice. Microsoft Word, and I'm going to paste that there. And then if I go back here and I choose bibliography, I can copy that to clipboard as well, and then paste to Microsoft Word.